Welcome, FNUSA57 here. I'm back on my Xbox One playing some Gears of War 5, and today I will be showing you, in my opinion, what is the best build for Baird. Now, primarily I'm going to focus on Horde, but I will give you a alternate set of cards for Escape if you wish to use this character in Escape. However, I don't really see him being too useful there. So, as you can see, I do have my Baird leveled up to level 16, and I have all of his cards unlocked. They are not all max level, but I've played a number of games and come to the conclusion that these are going to be my favorite cards for him. Just as a quick heads up, if you wish to unlock this character, you can go into the store and either pay 500 iron to unlock it immediately. You can pay 100 scrap to craft the totem and then do the totem challenges to unlock the character for free. Or if you bought the Operation 2 bundle, this is one of the characters that is automatically unlocked. With that being said, you will have to level up the character like normal. He is an engineer, but I would specifically class him more as a combat engineer than just the base role of engineer. So he does get the passive ability when you build new fortifications. There's a small discount, and he carries fortifications faster, just like any of the other engineers, Dell or Cat. However, his ultimate ability is Reinforced DR1, which summons a DR1 that targets enemies. It's actually kind of a cool feature, probably not maybe the best ultimate in the game, but I feel like it's a better ultimate than Dell's trackers. With that being said, here is the cards. At level 2, you can get Enforcer Porting. Level 3 is the Inspired Sniping. 4, Combat Engineering. 5, Explosive Kill Shot. 6, Global Sentry Upgrade. 7, Melee Resistance. 8, Heavy Resistance. 9, Nerves of Steel. 10, Bloody Support. 11, Precision Repairs. 12, Experimental Weapons, 13, Parting Gift, 14, the Epic Score Boost, 15, the Global Overclock, and 16, the Bloody DR1. After that, level 17 and 18 are merely a banner and blood spray. So, moving on from there, there are actually several ways that you could set this character up. I am going to give you the best, in my opinion, most universal set of cards, regardless of the difficulty that you are playing on. This is mostly intended to be playing on Inconceivable or Master. However, you could play on a lower difficulty with the same cards if you wanted, but lower difficulty does offer you more flexibility in the cards that you choose. You can either make Baird a little bit more tanky, a little more focused on repair speed. There's several different paths. I would say approximately 3 paths you could go down with this character, but the build that I like is going to focus on being a combat engineer. So you could call it basically combat engineering. So basically this is designed that you can either be the sole engineer on the team. It does require a little more effort, or you can work in conjunction with a Dell. Working in conjunction with a Dell would be the most ideal role, but it just depends on the players you have available. So here are my skill cards without further ado. I use the Experimental Weapons, which, granted, I don't have it maxed, as I said, but at level 2, it gives a 30% increased damage to DB weapons against enemies with less than 100% health. Now, this isn't the best card. If it was just a straight damage bonus, it would be better, but because the target has to be less than 100% health, it's not as perfect as I would like it to be. However, it does help out because it gives you a damage bonus with all the DB weapons. Now, DB weapons are things like the M-Bar, the Overkill. For some reason, it shows a shock grenade on the card, but I didn't really seem to have a damage bonus with the grenade. It did, however, seem to give me a damage bonus when I was using a tri-shot. So that would be very helpful if you wanted to use a tri-shot or a salvo or something of that nature. But the most important card, in my opinion, is this card right here called Precision Repairs. Now, what this does is when you get a precision kill, it heals all the defenses. Notice how it says defenses, not fortifications. There are a couple things that you cannot heal with this card. Lizzie's Silverback and the energy taps that spawn on the map cannot be healed in my experience and testing with this card. All you have to do is get a precision kill. It does not have to be a headshot. It just needs to be a kill with a precision weapon. So M-Bar long shot, Markza, torque bow. I haven't gotten my hands on a Boltok, but I would assume a Boltok would work. You would have to replace your repair tool, though. Tri-Shot, I can tell you, is not classed as a precision weapon and does not count. So it has to be a normal primary or secondary precision weapon. As long as you get the kill, all fortifications, defenses instantly heal for that amount of health. At level 2, it's 1000 HP. At level 3, it goes up to 1200. I don't know what 4 and 5 are, but I'm assuming diminishing returns, because it did go from level 1 being 700 to level 2 being 1000, which is a 300 point increase. And then level 2 to 3 is only a 200 point increase, so there probably is diminishing return with that. But still, basically, if you can get 1 or 2 precision kills during the wave and then kill the final enemy with a precision weapon, you'll basically repair all of your fortifications on the map. Super easy to repair if you're working with a coordinated team that lets you get those precision kills. It also saves a hell of a lot of energy, allowing you to build more fortifications and your team to upgrade perks. Next up, I use the Global Sentry upgrade, which I have at level 3, and what that does is all machine gun sentries do 20% more damage. I wish this applied to shock sentries as well, but it's only for machine gun sentries. When I upgrade it to level 4, it's a 25% damage increase, so I'm assuming it caps out somewhere between 27 to 30% if you max the card. I'm not going to spend scrap on maxing it, but it is a pretty neat card to have, because as long as you come into the map with it, all of these sentries are going to do more damage. Now, if you don't like to use sentries, then that's not really going to be a card that you use. It's up to you, though. I also love Bloody Support, because this pairs well with the Precision Repairs and Experimental Weapons card. What it does is it allows precision damage hits, to cause additional damage as bleeding damage when your ultimate is ready to be used. At level 2, it's only 15%. At level 3, it goes up to 20%. I'm assuming it caps out somewhere around maybe 25 or 30% if you get the card to level 5. So it's definitely not as powerful as like JD's bleed or as powerful as Kate's bleed, but it's not meant to turn Baird into a primary DPS. However, give him a weapons locker with a couple M-bars on it, a couple Markzas, maybe a long shot or a torque bow, because a torque bow is classed as a precision weapon for some weird reason. But yeah, it's pretty darn effective, actually. Especially if you have like a Sentinel, Guardian, Bastion, something flying around that maybe JD has to reload or Kate can't get to. You can just pop a couple rounds in it, keep the bleed on there, and prevent it from regenerating its health. However, if the bleed damage kills the target, it will not trigger precision repairs, because for some reason it counts as a Lancer kill if the bleed damage kills the target. It's very weird. It's the only bleed card in the game that triggers a Lancer kill instead of a bleed kill, but I think they coded it that way so that you couldn't use the bleed damage to proc the precision repairs. Lastly, I use the Global Overclock, which what this one does, at level 2, all weapon lockers reload 30% faster. Level 4 is 40%, or level 3, I should say, is 40%. Level 4 and 5 I don't have, but I'd assume it caps out around 45-50% reload speed. Now, this is extremely important if you are a fan of using weapon lockers, which, considering the current meta of having a JD and a Kate, weapon lockers are extremely important in the Horde game. And if you run the Global Overclock with a Dell, then Dell doesn't have to run Overclock, and he can free up that slot to use something else. which leaves the other cards, and the reason why I have chosen just these 5 cards. Bloody DR1 is kind of useless. Your summon DR1 causes 20% bleeding damage at short range. Now the problem with this is the DR1 comes in with a tri-shot. Even with this card equipped, the DR1 still comes in with a tri-shot, meaning it engages targets mostly at medium to relatively long distances, very rarely engaging at close range, unless you summon them like right in the middle of the map in a horde of enemies. So the bleed, not really worth it. I actually very rarely use BAIRD'S ultimate. Score boost, I would only use this card or the regular score boost card for doing leaderboard runs where you're caring about your score. It's up to you if you want to use them or not. I would rather make the game as easy as possible, which is the 5 cards that I had selected. Explosive kill shot is interesting. Killing a down but not out enemy deals an additional 40% damage to surrounding enemies. It is a small blast radius, and it does not apply to kills that your sentry guns get. It would kind of be broken if it did. It will apply to a kill that a sentry gun gets if you are also shooting the target at the same time, even if there are execution rules in play. So just keep that in mind. It's a very situational card, but if you wanted to swap out experimental weapons for the explosive kill shot and stay next to one of your sentry guns with, say, a lancer or any kind of quick firing high ammo capacity weapon, you could use the kills that the sentry gets on downed enemies to deal a little bit more damage, but I don't really see it being practical. I tested it out and wasn't a fan of it. There's also melee resistance. Now this can be helpful if you want to go down more of the tank path, but when you're playing on Master and Inconceivable, you really shouldn't be running around outside the wire as a engineer unless maybe there's only 1 or 2 enemies left, or if a boss such as a Swarmac, or if maybe you get a rogue guardian or something comes into the base and all of your team leaves the base. So not really that great of a card. Nerves of Steel is good if you pair it with combat engineering, but that goes on an approach where you are manually repairing fortifications as opposed to using the precision repairs in my combat engineer build. Parting Gift, 20% increased damage with grenade tags. On Master and Inconceivable, you're pretty much not going to be grenade tagging enemies, so that's basically a pointless card. Combat Engineer is a really good card because it allows you to repair fortifications faster if the repair lasts longer than 2 seconds continuously. Remember, this is only repairing the health. This does not actually count when you're reloading the ammunition on turrets, so reloading ammo takes the same amount of time. Plus, it does not actually give you a reduction to the cost. It just makes it faster. There's the regular score boost card. We also have Enforcer porting. I don't like it. It does make the Enforcer pretty much a laser beam, but you're not really going to be using the Enforcer in Horde, so not worth it. Heavy resistance, increased damage, resistance to heavy weapons. That does help out a lot with Guardians, Kestrel, Sentinels, the Salvo DR1s or the Tri-Shot DR1s, but it doesn't help out against boom shots or drop shots, torque bows, regular explosive damage. So in my opinion, not really worth it to run. You have Inspired Sniping, which successive sniper shots reduce the cooldown timer for the DR1 in multiples of, at level 3, 1.2 seconds. It's alright if you're just going to be sitting there sniping. You could use it if you didn't want to use, say, the experimental weapons, but I feel like the card really didn't benefit me since I don't spam my ultimate with this character. And that's basically the setup for going into Horde. Now, I am going to quickly set this game up real fast, just because I want to show you. So we'll keep execution rules on. We'll keep regeneration. We'll keep power drain. And more lethal, I'm going to leave it with bots. And I'm just going to set this up. I don't know exactly what the best difficulty would be to do it on. Probably we'll go mid-wave, so they do have double health. Set it up on 14. I'm just going to load in and try to get you a quick glimpse of how it works. But that's my basic build. You do start with an M-bar and an overkill. So if you're the only engineer, you can trade your overkill to Kate so she can make full use of it with her shotgun cards. But I would recommend stealing a long shot or Marxa somewhere throughout the game. And eventually, after Kate and JD have their weapon lockers, you'll want a weapon locker for yourself. You should be able to make do with level 2 or level 3, especially if you have overclock on. You just want to always make sure that you have a precision weapon on you so you can get that last 1 or 2 enemies and repair all the fortifications. This way you can see all of BAIRD'S stuff in use. I'm going to have a very basic setup here. I just want to show you that a fortification can get damaged. And then when that fortification gets damaged, if you get a precision kill, you can repair it. Now, I don't have a lot of money to start with, so we're just going to get a relatively low level decoy. I'm going to put that decoy over here.
Barrier deployed.
This is much easier to show with a team, but playing by myself, it's not super easy to show you. Obviously, the enemies aren't as difficult as if you were playing on Master, but that's not what I wanted to show you. I just want to show you how the repair system works. So, perfect wave to do this. We've got little old leeches right there. Now, if I move this decoy out a little bit more so that it'll actually get shot at, maybe a leech will attack it. See how its health is lowered. And then I get the precision kill. And I basically offset all the damage that that's taking, even though that decoy is being beat on quite severely. I'm just healing it up. I can't off-heal all the damage, but I can off-heal a decent amount of damage. Now there is one more thing that I do want to show you, so I'm going to go ahead and call in that DR1. I have execution rules on, but a M-bar shot will kill a regular downed enemy even with execution rules on. And that's basically how BAIRD works. Now, a destroyed fortification like that, obviously I couldn't completely off-heal all the damage. They did have more lethal on, and that just makes it, you know, enemies can do a lot of damage, especially to a level 2 decoy. But you did see how its health was regenerating. It was being healed by those precision kills that I got. Now, it won't be healed with the whole being destroyed thing, but I just healed the barrier, even though the barrier was being hit by those leeches. So that's how BAIRD works, and it works with any of these precision weapons. You can obviously get his experimental weapon damage bonus too with, you know, like the overkill. So I will back out of that. And that's my setup for BAIRD. Now, should you wish to take BAIRD into Escape, he would be more of a tank, basically. He could be pretty good in Escape depending on the map, but because you only get 3 characters in Escape, he's not going to be one of my primary ones. But he'd be decent. There's a couple maps and a couple situations where I can think of him being pretty useful, if you could get his ult up fast enough. So, once again, my HORDE setup is Global Sentry Upgrade, Global Overclock, Experimental Weapons, bloody support, and precision repairs. Now he has the same cards for Horde that he does for escape. But if we're thinking about escape, that's a very fast-paced, you're, running through things. There's a couple maps where you could make use of global overclock, possibly. Gauntlet, maybe, because the map has a weapon locker on it. But if you're running Keegan to resupply the ammo, then the weapon locker really isn't that useful. So you're going to want to be running, once again, greatly depends on the map, but you're going to want to be running definitely bloody support to get your ult. Definitely experimental weapons. And then precision repairs is useless. So I recommend the inspired sniping card. If you're really, really good with the enforcer, I would recommend using enforcer porting, which is this card down here that reduces the recoil, because remember, that's a DB weapon, so you'll get the damage bonus with it. But it's entirely personal preference on that one. It's a toss-up, really, but the inspired sniping, if you get any sniper rifle weapon, so M-bar or long shot, you can use that to charge up your ult faster, which will give you more support and faster use to get the bleed on all of your precision weapons. That's why I like the inspired sniping on that. Since I wouldn't actually use my DR1 that much, and you wouldn't be able to get it really fast enough unless you had Keegan feeding you with his cards to make your ult recharge faster. Bloody DR1 I don't really see being that helpful, but I would recommend that you take one of the damage resistance cards depending on what you're doing. I prefer melee resistance because I find that that's one of my biggest things, is I always get meleeed when I'm trying to run past enemies. It's either melee or claws that down you. I find I don't usually get killed by heavy weapons. It's usually like complete insta-death, one rocket, from a salvo. So it's not really that helpful to have the heavy weapon resistance, in my opinion. But you could run that. It would be really up to you and what you preferred. Since enforcers are super common, that's why I like the enforcer porting, and then this is what I work with. So it would be a good idea to give Baird a marksman weapon and then give him like an enforcer, so you get the experimental weapon damage bonus. You can use inspired sniping. You'll have your melee resistance to be a little bit tankier, and the enforcer to do even more damage. Plus, enforcers are relatively easy to find ammo for and carry a lot of ammo, plus they're easy to active reload. So that is my build for Baird. In my opinion, the best build for Horde, and for my playstyle, the best build for Escape. Remember, the cards to be used are different in Escape than Horde, because in Horde you're repairing fortifications. You're not doing that in Escape. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you do have any questions, feel free to ask. I will do my best to answer them for you. And if you'd like to see builds for any other characters, please just let me know. Obviously, if you liked the video, slap that like button, and of course subscribe for more content. Until next time, my fellow Gears, stay frosty.